にございます。
これはマクミラン姫君、ノアボルステア・ウィンナイトです。
って何見とれてんのよ。この男の甘いマスクに騙されちゃダメよ。恐れながら公爵様に取引をお願いしたく参りました。
So my wife reads a lot of manga and reads a lot of manhwa, and when I mentioned to her that this season why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's mansion was in my planned seasonal watching, she audibly squealed. Now, that means to me a lot because she does read a lot of, I call it, and if she hears the video, she'll hate me, but I kind of call them a lot of samey type of manga and manhwa, which is girl gets reincarnated, transported, or somehow is the princess, fallen, angel lady. She's basically the main person who falls in love with the forbidden fruit, or she has to strike a deal with the forbidden fruit, essentially, or make a pact with the man that's the devil, but she falls in love. They all have very similar tropey things, but regardless, she generally has a good taste of which ones are better than others, and she also knows that I've been having a really big fascination over the past 4 or 5 years now with these villainous type anime. Ever since the my villainous anime came out a long time ago now, probably about 5 years ago now, I've just had this really I don't want to call it obsession, but I've had this love for these villainous type anime. Very similar how I've grown to love farming anime, a complete opposite side of that. But I'm beginning to love farming anime quite a bit, and I've begun to love these villainous anime that has these really strong female role models. That's not the word. Female stars or female protagonists who are these girls trying to get back their lives or get revenge or try to, like in this case, in Raeliana's case, not die. So with that being said, should you watch why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's mansion? Well, the reason I mentioned the last 2 minutes of, kind of everything else was the buildup I had when I explained to her and I watched, like, hey, here's what I'm going to watch. She was like, this is peak. Like, this is peak stuff. And my expectations were through the roof. So I watched, the first episode with those high expectations, and it did not let me down. Like, this first episode really set the tone for what's to come and was really interesting, intriguing, and I want to know more about this Duke guy, right? This Duke Noah Volster Weird Knight or whatever. I probably really just effed up his name, but I want to know a lot more about this guy. Like, I am really interested into him. He commands, it seems like, a lot of power. He commands a lot of influence. He has a lot of people like networking working for him. He seems like the person that she described of being two-faced, and it seems like she did just ascribe herself to a deal with the devil. But the best thing is when he describes her, when he arrives home at the end of the episode, he describes her as a cute lost puppy. And I was like, oh my God, did he just refer to her as a cute lost puppy? So right off the bat, if you were to stop watching here, should you watch this? If you're a fan of these types of anime that have the villainous princess, damsel, who is no longer in distress, but, taking her life back, taking revenge, taking control. If you like these types of anime or these types of novels, light novels, manga, like, I think that this fits. I think this epitomizes so far in making a really, really strong approach on episode 1 to say, yeah, you need to watch this. So that's my recommendation off cuff. Is this was so good and it blew me away, and I really, really enjoyed it. The one thing that I didn't like about the anime, about anime episode number 1, was just the OP. I thought the OP didn't really fit. The OP was very like rock kind of music, and the visuals were pretty cool, but they were just kind of okay. So I would say, if anything, the OP kind of sucked a little bit, which is a little surprising. Now, on the flip side of that, the ED was stunning, amazing, and musically, it fit perfectly. And honestly, if the OP is my really only point of contention, that episode 1 was definitely a killer app of an episode. Again, in my opinion, for this specific genre, for this specific goal that they're trying to do here with these type of villainous type arc anime. Now, if you were to put it in a holistic box, not perfect. I could poke a ton of different holes into it. But for what I'm looking for to get out of this, yeah, this was absolutely killer. Now, okay, let me talk about the episode. Speaking about killer, our main protagonist actually does get killed. Her name is Park Yoon-ha, or at least that's what is described in the synopsis. I actually don't remember in the anime if it actually covered it. I know she just talked a lot about her being reincarnated into Raeliana Macmillan, but her name was Park Yoon-ha, and apparently she was stressing about passing her entrance exams, assuming into college or into that next probably level of college. And she was on a roof, and she was stressing out about it. And as she's on the roof, kind of really stressing out, thinking about life, contemplating, a figure, a man, a person, a woman, somebody who is very, very suspect begins approaching her. And her phone goes off, and she immediately is no longer paying attention to this random person. She gets notification that she passed her entrance exam. She begins bawling. And before she can really live in the moment, she gets pushed off the effing roof. She's then transported, or reincarnated, I should say, into this world as Raeliana Macmillan. Now, it doesn't really cover exactly what happened. I'm going to assume that she's basically transported into her body at whatever age Raeliana is currently, whether that's 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm not really sure her age currently. They didn't really tell us what her age was, but she's probably transported into her body there, and then all the memories of Raeliana, as well as her knowledge of the book, seems to, come back. Then after that, we get a lot of different scenes. We get her, basically monologuing that she cannot die twice. She refuses to die twice. Really selling us on her conviction. She lets us know about all the different things that happen in the book, that she's going to be killed off at some point, that she's just a supporting character. Her death is really just to make the main heroine's story more of a novelty, and basically just her death is just fodder for the main heroine to come and investigate it. Apparently the main heroine's like Sherlock Holmes or something like that. And she's going to solve the death of Raeliana. And her fiancé is a real piece of work. Apparently he's the one that kills her, and he gaslights her family into giving up their family business and all this other shenanigans. So she spends time buying a book, hilarious, about 50 different ways to break up. And she puts this dude through the ringer, and he refused to break up with her because obviously he has a plan. We later find out at the ball that she ends up going to that he's actually being threatened by some other larger power to make this marriage with her work. If not, he's on the chopping block. And then she sees the Duke finally, and she gets a bright idea, a brilliant idea. And this dude is dashing, debonair, best looking dude you can see. She approaches him. They have a really funny interaction. And she mentions something called the Sovereign Seal. She strikes a deal with him, and he plays along. And she's able to, quote unquote, break, at least temporarily, break off her marriage or engagement with this Brooks guy. And that's kind of where the episode ends. It's like, okay, what's next? And also the Duke, ordered to get her investigated and stuff like that. So overall, this really set the tone. It really dove into, okay, here's what's to come. There's some really deep crap that's going to go on. And there's a lot of things that's going to happen here to move the story forward. But I'm really interested in what's going to happen next. Again, tone was set. Characters like this, the character pieces on our chessboard have been set, and we learned that there's a lot of corruption and stuff going on in this country. So I can't wait to be able to see more. So yeah, I think this episode is really, really good. Should you watch it? Yes, I think you should. So let me know what you thought if you happen to watch episode number 1. If you did, let me know if you plan to. And if I don't know if I'm gonna cover this every single week or not. If I do, it'll be based on your guys' views, likes, and comments. So make sure you guys do all that. But regardless, I had a good time watching this, and I'm gonna continue to watch this, whether it's on my off time or whether it's for the channel. All right, my friends. Peace.